Seniors,
Yeah.
Tyler Miller, others. I mean, what strikes you about his journey? I mean, and how remarkable is it a guy that plays that position has a start streak he has?
Yeah.
And just reflect on the other seniors as well.
Yeah, it's a sensitive topic for me when you're here, or when you've been here as long as I have with Coach Campbell, and you've recruited these guys. You watch them go through. Tyler Miller's got 2 kids. You know, like he's engaged. Like when I first met him, you know, he was a 7-foot high school kid that could barely walk in a straight line. And now he's one of the best players that, you know, we've had here, certainly since I've been here, and what he means to our offense from a leadership standpoint, what he brings from an energy standpoint. He's one of the most authentic human beings that we have. He's the same person every single day. He sets the tone every single day. Like, he injects a lot of confidence into me for what we could do, and one of my favorite people to see around the facility, because I know what I'm gonna get. He comes at me, you know, in a lot of fun ways that I really appreciate, and we're not where we're at. We haven't had the success that we've had the last couple of years without him. So it's going to be a tough day for me. I mean, Tyler Moore and James Neal, and there's just, I could go down the list of like who those guys are, what they mean to me, what they mean to Iowa State. Why I'm going to miss those guys afterwards isn't because of how talented they are in football. They're all awesome kids that have done everything they can to help us. And Tyler Moore walks out with a sling after every single week. He can barely walk and finds a way to not only play but practice during the week. And he's a guy that just injects toughness into our offense and brings energy to our tight end room, and just an incredible guy. It's going to be a tough day for me.
And what do you see out of Kansas, and just what do you do? I mean, the run game's been pretty consistently good. The pass game, not so much lately.
Mm-hmm.
Just what have you been working on in the bye week to attack them?
Yeah, they're a really, really good defense. Obviously, Coach McDonald, their defensive coordinator, was with us here for a long time at Toledo. Really, you know, a guy that was really good for me as a young coach here, that did a great job of taking care of me, and they do a really good job, and they're really talented and athletic. And for us, you know, coming off the bye week, it's been how can we create rhythm in the pass game. You know, obviously, you know, the run game, scheming it, physicality, nastiness, all that kind of stuff is good. But for us in the pass game, there's a lot left to be desired. How can we get into a rhythm? How can we get the first completion? How can we create momentum, you know, as an offense to get the pass game going and things like that. So simplicity is always something that I kind of come back to, and being able to do things that Rocco and our receivers really feel good about. You watch all the games, you know, from the last couple of years of what he's done and we've done well, and, you know, being able to get things back on track a little bit and create some momentum for us has really just been the focus of, you know, the last 10 days since the TCU game.
Where have you seen the breakdowns, or whatever word you want to use, in the passing game the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think it's kind of been all over the place, and I keep hitting like the word momentum because it feels like, you know, when we make a play, then it's a bad call for me maybe, or we drop a ball somewhere, or we miss a throw somewhere. So we just haven't been able to get in rhythm. You know, for as good as our run game's been, credit to Coach Clayton and Landry and Sam for, you know, what those guys are able to do for us down there in the run game. And in the pass game, you know, we haven't all been on the same page. We haven't been in sync, and maybe it's trying to make up for it in other areas one way or the other, but it feels like we've just been a hair off one way or the other, and there's no excuse for it. Like, I have to do a better job of getting the offense in rhythm and creating momentum in the offense for us to play confident in the pass game, and I haven't done a good enough job of doing that.
Is there a compounding issue there where you see Rocco miss a throw, or you see a receiver drop a pass, where one problem becomes 2, becomes 4?
Yeah, I certainly think there's a snowball element to it. You know, at least in my experience here, when you go back to the drops that we had with maybe early Allen or Hakeem, and then it starts to snowball, and one person gets frustrated in the drop, and the next person's like, I don't want to drop the ball, or you make a great throw, or the receiver's open and maybe we miss it, or the timing's off of it one way or the other, and then you lose confidence, and it deflates the offense a little bit, and it deflates the confidence that you have personally. It deflates me. Like, when you have a call and it doesn't work, you're second guessing the rest of the way out a little bit too. So football is so psychological, and when you have it, it's hard to keep it, and when you don't have it, it's hard to get it back from a momentum standpoint. And we have to get a spark and find a way to be able to let it roll and inject confidence into the other people, and not play to not lose or not fail or worry about making a mistake. And that's continued to show up, you know, for the last however many games.
I wasn't here for the start of Jalen Knowles' career, but I remember a lot of people talking about early on when he was catching passes, he had some struggles and just people like weren't sure about what that would look like. How much do you have to give those guys grace, early and just let the receiver develop and just give him some grace?
Yeah, you have to, and it's worked for everybody that we've had that's come through the program here. I remember Charlie Kolar's drop in Oklahoma State in 2020, and like how devastating that stuff was for him, and even the stuff I was saying with like Hakeem, West Virginia here in 2018, and Allen, Oklahoma State 16, and they've all come back and been better for it if you're willing to have the right approach to create change for whatever it is that's wrong in the game. And there's the thing that made Jalen Noel so great, even after that 2022 season where we had drop problems, like there wasn't a guy that's more committed to be able to get it fixed and taking every single pass, like it's 4th and 10, no matter when it is in practice. And even, today, like all those wideouts and the tight ends are afterwards catching jugs balls and catching stuff with Rocco to get it back on track. It's like the only way to create confidence is to throw and catch the ball, so taking checkdowns when they're there, taking advantage of the shot plays when they're there, but with the same thing, like we have to make sure our protection's good up front and to be able to do some of that stuff too. So it all has to be in line, but I think the struggles of those guys, being able to overcome it, like that's how you create real confidence, is overcoming, your challenges and your setbacks and things like that, because like those guys are all great players. We've seen them make great plays. Like the consistency factor from myself to the top down, like has to be better and more on, in line. And all the great players that we've had that have come through here. David Montgomery had his freshman year, West Virginia out here, ended the season on a fumble, was the most driven man the whole offseason, and was an animal for the next 3 years and still is. So I'm counting on those guys to be able to use their, like Coach Kim always says, like your scars are your superpowers here at Iowa State, and they have to be for us. And it's frustrating to work through, and you're pulling your hair out and you're, upset about them. And our guys will, last thing for us, at least offensively, is feel like we haven't played close to our best football. And that's like the challenge that I have for those guys. Like at some point, it's got to turn. Maybe it's this week, maybe it's next week, maybe it's next season, but like there's got to be urgency to get there.
And psychologically, what did finding a way to win a game do for this team?
Yeah, it did a lot. I think, like I told those guys after whatever it was, the game before that, whichever the 4th loss, like whenever like we do turn the page and get this one, how do we find out a way to do it? That's like where I was most proud of our guys. Like they made critical plays in the moment. Like Rocco had his best throw of the season on 3rd down. Eli Green had his best catch of the season at the most critical point on that 3rd down at the end of the game. So like our guys made plays in the moments to win the game. I mean, Aiden Flora, like what he did to score, like it felt like we needed some people to go out there and, be like, I'm gonna make it happen and create momentum for us. And it was a relief in a lot of ways, but there's so much hard work that goes into it that you're like excited for like the payoff of our guys, and being able to go and find a win on the road when nothing's come easy for our guys. Whether we got a lot of guys dinged up, we got a lot of guys working through stuff, but in football, like nobody cares, and you have to find a way to go out there and outwork people and out execute and win in the moment. And I was proud of our guys for the end of the game, being able to win in the moment when we let some other games slip away for us where we weren't able to do that. And it was awesome to see.
What's the journey been like this season for those 2 transfer wide receivers? And Sowell's seemed to find his way, but Townsend, it seems like not a lot going his way, but when it does, he's making plays, but just not getting the ball all that much.
Yeah, I think it's been those guys have learned like just how valuable the inches are here at Iowa State, how close like the margins are, and how much you have to be on the same page all the time. And we ask a lot of those guys from like an option route standpoint. Like a lot of those routes are coverage reads where they have to be, they have to make the right decisions, and Rocco has to trust you to be in the right place at the right time. So there's a lot on those guys' plates. Our receiver, our tight ends, our running backs, from what we ask those guys to do in the pass game. And we scheme up a lot of stuff, for Townsend each week that maybe the defense takes away, or we feel like he's a guy we can get in the backfield and move out of there. And some of the cooler stuff maybe that we've had in the pass game we didn't get to because we were struggling to execute some of the easier plays in our offense. Sometimes where you're like, you're running the ball well, so all of the stuff that we had to get those guys the ball, you're like, you know what, we're running the ball well right now, like let's keep running the football and try to take care of the clock. The defense is playing great, like can we run the football well. So we've had a lot of stuff to get those guys the ball that we haven't got to for whatever the reasons are. But I think like those guys have learned like you don't know like when your moment's gonna come. Like you look at Eli last week, like couldn't be prouder of that guy for what he did in the moment to make that catch. Like that moment's gonna come for you at Iowa State one way or another. Like, and you just have to be ready for it because you're gonna get asked to make a catch that could potentially change the season at any given moment. And like those guys are learning like how to carry like the pressures of that, you know, on each down in the game because they're gonna be critical. So I think those guys have learned that and are, you know, continuing to grow confidence within that and just learning how like tight the margins are here for us.
With the run game, what was the learning moment or the game where you guys were able to take a step back and turn things around to get it clicking to where now you guys are sustaining momentum and remaining effective on that side of the ball?
Yeah, I think after the Arizona game, really like challenged the veterans in like the group because that's where like we have James Neal, Jim Boniface, one of the best leaders that we have in the program, like a senior that we'll greatly miss, Tyler Moore, Tyler Miller, you know, Gabe Burkle, like we have Carson Hansen, experience at running back, like we're too good there to not be running the ball. And like I think to be good at running the ball, obviously there's a scheme to it, but there's a mentality to be good at running the ball where you have to just want to be dirty and nasty and more physical than the person across from you. And I didn't feel like we were having that. And I know like Coach Clanton is as, you know, if you build an O-line coach from scratch, it'd look like Coach Clanton. And Jackson's got around like the O-line GA we have is one of the best in the country. Like that guy lives, breathes, dies O-line play. And just challenge those guys to like make it theirs. You know, like it's the same, like those guys did a great job last year of like setting the tone in the run game and opening some doors for us and being the guy that takes a lot of pride in, you know, running the ball behind me. And those guys stepped up to the challenge, but I think it was after that Arizona game, like, you know, challenge those vets to you know, put it on you guys and let's run with this thing. And if we're going to be who we want to be, like we have to better run the ball.
Was it more of a mentality adjustment or were there things in the schemes or the blocking that just wasn't being executed properly?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. Like you kind of learn through the season, and even when you come out like last year, some of the stuff that maybe you were really good at last year, you know, defenses change, schemes change, you know, you're, for whatever reason, you're not as good at some of the stuff. And when you're playing against our defense, you know, through spring ball and fall camp, it's a little bit different than what you see. So there's a little bit of a learning curve and adjustment stuff. And, you know, last year we were, you know, good at the A-gap power play, and teams are going to do a good job taking it away. We can't, you know, do that as much. And you are, I mean, constantly studying other people to see what the trends are in football to be able to do well at it. And then I still, you know, the best O-line, the best run games that I've been since Coach Campbell, no matter if it's at Toledo or here, really good backs, not good backs, like I think there's got to be a pride and a mindset that we're going to run the football and we're going to win the line of scrimmage. And those are the best, you know, rushing attacks we've had have been the guys that have had the mentality where they don't care what the run game is, what the scheme is. They want to put their hand down and run through somebody's face.
Your accountability through the offensive struggles this year has been pretty apparent. Why do you feel like it's so important for you to take the blame or to understand that you have to be better as a OC?
Well, I am the offensive coordinator, so the offense starts with me, and the mindset starts with me, and the accountability, I think, to be able to have leadership, like there has to be accountability all the way from the top, and it starts with Coach Campbell, and he has it, and if he's going to have it, then I have to have it, and I know Rocco has it, and the best leaders that I've seen since I've been here have had it, and I'm always worrying about like my role in it and what I can change to help the offense be better. And you know, pointing fingers and, you know, blaming other people is not going to get us anywhere. It's not going to help us. And I know, like I've told you guys before, like Iowa State's awesome and it's different because everybody here feels like it's their fault all the time. And it means a lot to me to be the offensive coordinator for Coach Campbell. And I want to do everything I can to help the seniors I see how much they sacrifice all the time, and, you know, the gaps that we can have, how much it means to them. So when we're not good on offense, like we have too many guys that are too talented that care too much for us to be struggling like we are on offense, you know? So for me, like there's mere check time where you gotta just, how can you be better and how can you change things and not do the same thing over and over and over again, but like how can I be the best version of myself for the offense, for the fans, for the staff, for everybody that, you know, comes in here and fights every day for Iowa State football, and I gotta just be better at finding my gaps.
Rocco, I know, hasn't been able to play fully healthy for the last 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. How does that change your process as an offensive coordinator or play caller, understanding what perhaps his physical limitations may or may not be right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been hard because Rocco, as you guys know, is one of the most competitive people on the planet, and we're a better offense. You know, most of the time when the ball's been in his hands, and at the same time, like that guy will do whatever it takes to win football games. So for me, it's him being honest with me about how he's feeling throughout the game, and it's hard when you're as competitive as he is, and you want the ball, and you're a guy that can go change the game at any given moment. So for me and him, it's just being about honest on where he's at through the week, how he's feeling, and just being honest about what his favorite stuff in the game plan is. How can we keep it simple for him to be able to go out there and play confident? Because when you are dinged up or you're working through different stuff, whoever you are, like that kind of sits in the back of your mind at times, and it can be hard to just be present all the time. And I want him to feel really good about exactly what we're running all the time and the game plan, and no different than anyone else. Like, he doesn't have to be perfect for us to win football games. He doesn't have to save Iowa State football on every single play. No different than Tyler Miller in protection, or James Neal in protection, or Carson Hansen in the run game. Like, just go out there and execute your job for the best 6 seconds that you can, and let's try to sustain a drive and win the football game. And we have so many people here that care so much about making the play all the time in the moment, that it can get lost a little bit of just like the simplicity of your first 2 steps or your reads and things like that. So for me, I want him to be confident. I want him to have fun playing football. Like, he's one of the best ever, and I try to remind him of that. It doesn't change with him being working through some lumps, but I think just honesty about where he's at, where I'm at, where whoever it is, just that way we can go out there and be all on the same page.
What was your experience like watching Ben go through, what he went through from going down on the field all the way through scoring a touchdown at TCU last week?
Yeah, it was I don't know since I've been at Iowa State if we've had a moment like that where, and it's hard because this is only the second year I've ever been up in the box, and my favorite thing about here is like being with those guys. Like, my biggest gripe with being the offensive coordinator is probably being up in the box. So being that detached and seeing Ben and seeing like the X and the people aren't out there you don't know, and like his grandparents are at every single game. So it was hard, and to see that, I went and visited him in the hospital, and his dad, his family, everybody's there, and luckily he was doing okay, but you don't know. And I saw like how much his grandpa was affected by it, and they come to every game. He gives me a hug after all the games, like just great people. So for him to come back and not miss practice and just be a leader, it injects a lot of energy into me, into our team, and shows like how important it is for that guy to do it right and to just fight for whatever he can to get this thing going. You're coming off like 4-game losing streak, so he's doing everything he can to help us. It was tough to see it and to watch, him go score, and like the play he made was incredible. Like, it was a check down that he made, turned into an explosive play, and broke 5 tackles and scored. But like, it just, everybody sees like how important it is and what that guy's willing to do to just help us get over the hump and win. But it was a really tough sequence there. It was a really tough couple hours there, and it was a special moment just to see like anything else, like the payoff that our guys have for the sacrifice that they've made for this place.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, thank you.